Ah, somebody said, ah, who was that?
It's me.
It's
Oh, I'm down as
you.
Jake. I'm down as Jacob. Why is
How are you
that?
down as Jacob? Oh, and I'm on the
Oh,
wrong camera. I'm on the wrong camera. We got a good start.
that's funny. Oh,
Bear with me.
that's weird. I've not been down as Jacob for ages. Why is that?
Hi everyone, and Jacob.
Tom, you're really
Hello,
quiet
Tom.
again. You were a little bit quiet yesterday.
I can't see. Oh, I can now.
How's that?
That's better.
I need a
Good
sound
afternoon.
engineer.
Yes, we need
listen.
that sound engineer in there.
Somebody to give a response, right? Well, can I say a couple of things first?
Yes, you can.
I didn't think I was going to manage today because Kieran's at a family thing, cousins and things, over an hour away, and I was to be at that. But I thought, I'm only bringing Kieran home, so I'll bail out one or just after one.
Okay, that's fine.
And
We will
head off.
We will let
And
you
the
do
other thing, which is more trivial, we're doing an online course next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which is at 9 o'clock. So the plan is that I'll still do the Tuesday and Thursday things, but just in case of psychological nightmares or something.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, we'll be want to find out more about that one.
We're virtually visiting the Gaelic College in Skye.
Oh, that sounds fascinating. Sounds excellent.
Yeah, I don't know if it's anything like your things. The trick is in finding out where you are, so you go in at the right level. Anyway.
Good plan. We're getting a few people joining, so thanks for joining. I don't know, I mean, I know, Tom, you had difficulty with that link, something to do with a link in that, and people
and the last time as well, I sort of register, but I as often now don't get a response.
It's weird that, because I've not changed anything. It's the same email system, because obviously it's automated when you register. So, It does.
What about your blacklist?
Yeah, I must have blacklisted you all, and somebody else is just saying.
Me too. Then I didn't get a link.
That's funny though.
I got the link, but I couldn't get on it. That's why I messaged you, Gray, to send me another one. Because I got the link, the email, but I couldn't. It wouldn't accept it. It was unresponsive. The link or whatever.
I'll have to check that, because nothing's changed. So everybody seems to have had that then. So hopefully, well, I've just sent another email out to everyone, so people might jump in as we go out. I've sent an email out to everybody.
Yeah, I got the second link, so I think the second link will help get people in.
I'll have to check that. Sometimes these email software programs change and do things that don't tell you what they're doing. So sorry about that if you're having challenges getting into the session. So the idea of today's session, we have some new people joining. I think we have a couple of Oxygen Advantage instructors as well, which is great to see you here. This is a session that I do so every six weeks, so every month or every 6 weeks. And for the group that are the people who join the Tuesday and Thursday morning classes, this is a free session. So it's just like a catch up. So we have a little bit of a chat, but we'll also do some practice. We're a little bit more practice today than chat, because we've got some new people here, but we will open it up obviously to questions and chats as well. Somebody just said I had to go back to the link from yesterday to get onto today. It is the same link. So good that you're here anyway. So the first thing I want to do is just to get us all into the zone, get us all into the space and prepared for the session, is just find yourself, we'll stay sitting to start off with. If you're sitting, if you're standing, that's fine. Just stay in the comfortable position that you're in at the moment. And just find that connection with your feet on the ground. So it's a comfortable position. It's a position that you can sit or stand comfortably in for the next 5 minutes or so. So feet connected to the ground. If you're sitting, your bum, your sits bones, nice and stable on the chair, on the seat, or if you're on the floor, nice and stable on the floor, so that you can then lengthen up the spine, but without creating rigidity in the upper body. And the nice way to think of this is a really nice strong back of the body, or a back of the spine, and that idea of lifting gently from the crown and then softening the front of the body. So softening the ribs, softening the belly. And what I find is useful at this stage is maybe just giving your head a little nod. So you lengthen out the back of the neck. And it's like you're just placing the head on top of the spine. So we take the shoulders out of the equation of holding up the head. So the shoulders can relax. And just relax the face muscles, eye sockets, cheekbones. Now, if you prefer to close your eyes, if you just feel you want to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. If you prefer to keep your eyes open, then keeping your eyes open, just with a soft gaze, not particularly focusing on anything at all, just a soft gaze. And that sense of inner smile is really good for this as well, because it creates that relaxation in the face. It releases any tightness and tension in the jaw or in the throat. And now just bringing your attention, your awareness to the breath. And not changing anything, but just noticing. So just natural breathing, just notice how you are breathing naturally. Not changing anything, or feeling that you should be breathing in any different way, but just noticing. And the really easy place to notice the breath is in the nostrils. So that physical sensation, you can feel the physical sensation, notice the physical sensation of the air as it just flows naturally in and out through the nose, through the nostrils. And when you suddenly notice that your mind has jumped off somewhere, that's not a problem whatsoever. It's quite a good place now to find that awareness, to just gently guide your attention back to noticing the breath. And the natural breath, the natural way your body wants to breathe at this moment in time. And perhaps if you really tune in, you can notice the different temperature in the air. So as you breathe in, so that breath just naturally flows into the body. slightly cooler. And then as you breathe out, as your breath exhales, slightly warmer. And if you start to feel any tightness or tension in the body, then feel free just to move around a little bit, shift a little bit. And then just when you're ready, just guide your attention back to the breath. Bring that awareness to the slightly cooler air coming in. And slightly warmer air leaving. And use the wandering mind as a gentle reminder that you can just slowly, calmly bring your attention back to the breath. It's normal, it's natural, it's a good experiment, it's a good test. And now I'd like you to switch your attention to the spaces between the breath, so the top of the breath and the bottom of the breath. So just notice those spaces between each breath. So as you breathe in, there's that really nice natural change of direction of your breath as you breathe out, and there's a little bit of a space or a little bit of a pause or a little bit of suspension at the top of the breath. And then as you breathe out, that rest, that pause, that space at the bottom of the breath. So just tune into the spaces between each breath. And notice the stillness in those spaces, the calmness in those spaces. There's still movement, there's still flow. Nothing is stopping, but it's just a change of direction, a pause, a suspension, and a stillness. And again, if you start to feel as if you need to move around a little bit, or if you start to feel as if you're getting any tension in the muscles or the body, then do feel free to move around a bit. If you start to feel a little bit stressed because you're focusing on the breath, then just switch your attention away from the breath for a moment. But then when you're ready, when you're comfortable, in your own time, just gently guide your attention back to top of the breath and the bottom of the breath. That stillness at the top of the breath, stillness at the bottom of the breath. The aim of this practice is to get us settled in, to help the body calm, help the mind calm, but also the more we can just take our control away and just allow the body to find its natural breath and its natural balance, then what is happening here is the body is breathing just the amount of air that it needs, just the right amount of air that it feels it needs at this moment in time, not too much and not too little. So it's breathing what you need. And then when you're ready, in your own time, on the next inhale, just make it a slightly fuller inhale, slightly fuller breath in. And if you've got your eyes closed at the top of that inhale, you can just open your eyes. You might want to do like a little bit of a stretch. You might want to give yourself a little bit of a shake. And if you're sitting or standing, you might want to move around a little bit. Lovely. So just a few minutes there, just tuning into natural breathing, not changing anything, not taking control of the breath, and just allowing yourself, your body, just to find what it comfortably needs to breathe, breathing to our metabolic needs. And if we're looking at breath in general, or breath work, however we want to look at it, that natural breath is the starting point. And I think this is where I really want to focus when we're looking at the oxygen advantage, when we're looking at any sort of like breathing techniques, is not to forget your normal, your natural breathing. There's some people just joining. For those of you who joined halfway through that, I'm sorry if you're having problems logging in. I know some people couldn't get the link and the link wasn't working. So I will look into that. So I do apologize. I am recording the session so that I'll get you a link. So if you did miss the beginning of that, you'll get the recording as well. Any questions? As I say, as we work through today's session, we'll stop. If anybody's got any questions, please feel free to just unmute yourself, ask questions live. You can ask in the chat if you want to. It's easier just to ask live. So if anybody's got any questions or comments or thoughts on that little practice we did then, just give us a shout now. See who's on there. No, everybody comfortable? Good. So what I would like to do now is, today's session, I want to look at natural breathing, which we just did there, just letting the breath find its comfortable rhythm, its comfortable pace, but then looking at how we can take conscious control, because that's one of the benefits that we can do. We can take conscious control of our breath. So how we can use particular exercises to help calm the body, calm the mind, how we can use particular breathing exercises to help release tightness and tension, and then how we can also use particular exercises to energize the body. So at times we want to be able to down-regulate the nervous system. Other times we want to up-regulate the nervous system to prepare for perhaps a sporting event, or if you're giving a talk or a presentation or for work. And then at other times you just want to let go, you want to cleanse and clear. So we'll do each of those, we'll do a practice for each of those elements. And then if we've got time, which I'm sure we will do, hopefully we will do, we'll finish off with a Qigong practice. So we'll do, for those of you who've done the breathe, balance, move, we'll do the 5-element Qigong flow just to finish off the practice, which is a nice little Qigong session to work through. So cleansing and clearing, great way to start. Let's find a standing position. So see if you can get some space around you. Make sure you've got plenty of space around you. I will jump on the other camera. Just change my glasses as well so I can make sure I can see everybody. So what I like to do when I'm working on breath is not just do everything sitting, because if you start to just do everything sitting, it can all get a little bit tight. So actually we want to cleanse and clear, open up the body, open up the space in the lungs, open up the spine to allow breathing to happen easily, a little bit more easier. So we'll do 3 particular movements. Those of you who've done the breathe, balance, move classes, you know these really well by now. We'll do spine rotation. So start with your feet shoulder width apart, little bit of bend in the knees. You're rooted, you're connected to the ground through the feet. And then you're just going to start rotating, movement coming from the center, coming from the pelvis, and then just letting the arms just swing naturally, letting the elbows bend. And we're just tapping lightly on the front of the body and the back of the body. So we're starting off just by getting some energy running through the body. And this in particular is working on the spine rotation. So a nice visualization again is that strong back of the body. So nice tall spine, long lengthened neck, and then that soft front of the body. So ribs soft at the front, belly soft at the front. And for the breath at the moment, just lips lightly together and just breathing naturally. And now with the arm that swings across the front of the body, just make it into a light fist, and it's just gently tapping. If this feels comfortable for you, it's just gently tapping just on the pecs, just below the collarbone. And what I find, and what you may feel when you start to activate this point here, which in Chinese medicine is a long point, it almost gives you that want to take a fuller breath in. So what is quite nice here, if it feels good for you, is to take a fuller breath in through the nose and just sigh out. Just let go through the mouth. As you're taking that full breath in through the nose, it's a slow, relaxed, fuller breath in. So you're just breathing a little bit more air into the lungs, just filling the lungs a little bit more, a little bit fuller with air. Breath in and sigh out. And if you feel you want another one, take another one. Full breath in and sigh out. And then just go back to arms swinging around the belly, back and belly, just breathing easy. Breathing light, breathing slow, breathing soft, breathing naturally. And then gradually, gradually, gradually slow it down. Slow it down. It's almost like you're going into a slow motion movement now. Qigong, this is called water waves. So it's like you've got a little bit of resistance around you, in front of the body, behind the body. Breath is just natural, soft. And then take a moment just to stand and balance. Perhaps about hip width apart with the feet. Nice and strong through the lower body, through the legs and the hips, and then light and lifted through the upper body. And then step out again. We'll go about shoulder width apart again. The reason we go about shoulder width apart is just to give us a good stable base of support. So you're strong and you're stable through the lower body. We're going to bend the knees a little bit more. And we're going to do, if you've practiced a cat-cow in yoga, we're going to do similar to a cat-cow that you would do in yoga, but we're going to do it standing. I'm just going to show you from the side. Keep facing the front. Because we bent the knees a little bit, we can start to tilt the pelvis forwards and backwards a little bit. So get the pelvis tilting forwards and backwards. We'll work on the movement first. And then you can bring in the upper body. So as you tilt the pelvis, as if you were spilling out the front of the pelvis, you extend, bring the elbows back and you look up. And then as you tuck the pelvis underneath, you curl up into a little ball, bring the elbows together, tuck the chin, you look down. So from an anatomical point of view, you're extending the spine and flexing the spine. And why this is important in movement is because we want the spine to be as flexible but as strong as possible, because quite often we get tight in the spine, so everything becomes blocked and locked. And if we get tight in the spine, that is going to affect how we breathe, how the rib cage moves, how much air we can breathe into the body, into the lungs. Once you get this movement going, then we can focus on the breath. So let's do a breath in through the nose, a soft, slow breath in through the nose, soft, easy breath out. And see if you can keep the breath smooth. So we're just lengthening the inhale as we expand, lengthening the exhale as we contract and soften. So breath in and expand. Think of expansion. Breath out. Think of softening, relaxing. It's a bit like a stretch you would do in the morning. You wake up, nice big stretch. Just do a couple more. Notice what's happening. Let's do one more. Notice what happens with the rib cage as you expand as well. That rib cage opens up and expands and then softens and contracts. And then take a rest. So our rib cage tends to get very tight. So we want to get that elasticity, that movement through the rib cage, so that breathing is then easy, it's effortless. As we breathe in, that rib cage just expands and contracts, softens and relaxes. If you watch any animals as they're lying asleep and their breath is relaxed, there's that very subtle movement. It's not locked. And we often think with breath work and relaxation, we focus a lot on the diaphragm, obviously, because the diaphragm is the main breathing muscle. But we must also remember that there needs to be that little bit of expansion, no matter how minimal, when you just breathe lightly and softly and deeply. So there's that little bit of movement through the rib cage. So the reason why we're doing these movements is to get the spine and the rib cage flexible and moving so that our breathing is as effortless as possible. Let's do one more for a little bit of stretch at the sides, which is quite nice. This is called picking cherries. So go with your feet about shoulder width apart. A little bit of bend in the knees. Again, we're nice and strong and stable. And this is just imagining that you are picking a cherry off a tree and you're getting that expansion here through the side of the rib cage. So you'll feel, if you put your hands on the rib cage there, as you reach up, see if you can feel the ribs just moving a little bit. So a little bit of space between the ribs as you reach, and then go opposite side. And you might find that one side, this is my left side, this just goes really easy for me. That really expands. Here's a little bit tighter. So just play around. And with this, we're just breathing naturally, easily. Expanding. And the temptation often when we're doing something like this, when we're bringing our hands above our heads, is to use the shoulders, is to hike the shoulders up. But if you bring the shoulders up, it tends to bring the whole rib cage with it. So if you keep those shoulders down and really feel that stretch or that lengthening or that elasticity through the side of the ribs, that's what we're really looking to get to, that movement in the ribs between each individual rib. Let's do a couple more. And then just bring the arms down by the side. Nice. Shake out a little bit. And then the ultimate release, if you like, or cleanse and clear in terms of breath and in terms of body, is a good shake. So if you look at an animal when they've been into a fight or flight situation, have a fight, the first thing they do is just shake off any tension. Watch a child screaming, shaking, they're shaking off that stress. So let's start off by just using the legs. So just pumping the legs, just nice and easy to start off with, and letting the shoulders go. And just breathing naturally in and out through the nose, not trying to breathe in any particular way. And then if that feels comfortable, you can start to tap. I'll show you from the side, keep facing front. You can start to tap the heels into the ground. So you really get that vibration going through the body. Really let the shoulders go. It's interesting how often everything is held here in the shoulders. Let the shoulders go, let the head go a little bit. And you might feel again, as you start to do this, as you start to get a little bit more, shaking a little bit more, you want to take a slightly fuller breath in through the nose and let it go. And breath in and just pull the microphone cable out then. And you might want to start to shake a little bit more vigorously, move around a little bit, shake the wrists, breath in, and make whatever sound you want to make to breath out. Just releasing any tightness, any tension, any physical tightness and tension, any emotional tightness and tension. Let's do a couple more. Breath in, and breath in, and And then just very gradually slow it down, slow it down, slow it down, slow it down. Come to a standing position. Maybe just open the shoulders a little bit and just stand. Let the breath settle, just with the lips lightly together now. Let the breath settle naturally. Feel any tingling sensation running through the body. Just letting the breath settle, body relax. Nice. And then just take a rest, have a little walk around if you need to walk around, have a little sip of water, have a drink if you need a drink. We've been doing all that shaking, moving. And then we'll do a couple more release breaths. Now, one of the things when we're focusing or when we're talking about dysfunctional breathing, we often say that a sigh is a sign of dysfunctional breathing. Now, a sigh is the body bringing itself back to balance. And what is a sign of dysfunctional breathing is if we're regularly sighing, or if we're sighing because it's a habit that we may be holding the breath, a little bit stressed, so we have to regularly sigh to bring our body back to balance. But actually using a sigh deliberately and intentionally to help rebalance the body, if you're feeling a little bit stressed, is a really good way of down regulating, of cleansing and clearing that idea of tightness and tension. Cleansing as in maybe getting rid of excess CO2 if you have been tense and holding up the breath and you've been building up CO2, or just literally bumping the heart rate up, because as you take a bigger breath in, the heart rate goes up, and as you take a long, bigger breath out, the heart rate goes down. And we know that heart rate variability, the difference between the spaces at the top of the breath where the heart rate increases and as the heart rate drops, the greater the heart rate variability, that brings us a little bit more into parasympathetic. So obviously we don't want to be doing loads of sighs because we end up over breathing and hyperventilating, but just a couple of sighs to down regulate the body and to release any tightness and tension are really useful. So we've done almost like a few sighs like that as we were doing the movement. Many of you will know Andrew Huberman and the work of Andrew Huberman, and he talks about the physiological sigh, which he's studied people as they're sleeping. And what he is saying is that you take a couple of in-breaths, so you breathe in and then in again, and then sigh out and let go. And the reason why that is that it's almost like if you were blowing up, if you're doing it the other way around and you were blowing up a balloon, it's that second breath that really expands and opens up the balloon. If you tried to do everything on that first breath, it'd be a challenge. So what he is saying is that second inhale opens up all of the alveoli in the lungs. So that helps with clearing any blocked CO2 or clearing CO2 and bringing in oxygen into the body. So let's just have a little practice of that. You take a first breath in through the nose, and then you top it up with a second breath, and then you sigh out through the mouth. Long sigh out. And then just relax. And then when you're ready, another one. So breath in. breath in, and relax. And then we'll do one more when you're ready in your own time. Breath in, and relax. And then again, just stand and notice how you feel just after 3 of those physiological sighs. And just letting the breath settle. Good, then just have a little walk around again, have a sip of water if you need some water. And then I'm going to give you or show you a similar practice that is used in Qigong, Qigong as well. So we add a little bit of movement to that, but we use 3 inhales. So when you are ready, if you're still standing, we're all still standing. Yes, that's good. Stay still standing. Shoulder width apart with the feet. Remember, the reason we do that is just so that we're nice and strong and stable. Now we use the palms of our hands. So we're down here towards the hips. And then we do 1 breath in, bringing the hands up. Another breath in, and then breath out. So it's very similar, but it's just adding a little bit of movement to it, which is quite nice. Let the breath settle. And then when you're ready, we'll do 1 more. Breath in, breath out. And then just take a stand. Let the breath settle. And then when you're ready, if you want to take a seat, you can stay standing. If you want to take standing, if you want to take a seat, just grab a seat. We'll just take a few minutes. So if anybody has got any questions on those little practices that we did there on that releasing, those movements, or any comments or any thoughts, then please just do give us a shout now, jump in now. You can use the reactions to put your hand up or just unmute yourself, ask away, comment away. If not, we'll just move on to the next practice. I'm just going to have a little sip of coffee.
So great.
Somebody's unmuted. Yes.
Yeah, I have here. Just on that, the exhale through your mouth there, in the cleansing exercise, is that a full and deep exhale? So you sort of almost empty your lungs of air?
Yeah, I think what I would say with that is anything that we do is not forced. So it's not as if you're really pushing the air out, but it is more of a, yeah, it's like bringing the diaphragm up, and it is quite a long exhale, because quite often where we hold a lot of tension is because we never breathe out fully, and that I know that tends to happen when people are exercising as well. We think, oh, we're breathing light and we're breathing with the diaphragm, but there's never that let go, and I think that let go, that let go is important, obviously. So yes, it is like think of it like as a cleansing and a clearing. So just blowing out as much as you can, but it's not strained. Nothing is strained or forced or overdone. I think that's the key to all of the practice, I would say.
Yeah, so you go as far as is comfortable, but you don't sort of over exhale.
Yes, yeah, that I would say so. I think that's a good way of looking at it. I think with any practice, particularly when I'm teaching with breath work, with movement, I would always say there's the difference between challenging yourself and aspiring to be better, which is obviously important, as opposed to pushing yourself and striving to be better, because it just creates a completely different mindset. So the more you aspire to improve, the more it just feels more open, it feels more spacious. The more you strive and try to get better, everything tightens up. So I think that's quite a nice way of looking at it.
Yeah,
Good.
that's lovely. Thank you.
Anything else? No? Okay, what I'd like to do now is we've done cleansing and clearing. We'll do a little bit of calming. And there's a couple of ways to do this, or 2 ways we'll play around with this. Very different ways of doing this, I've found, but both of them have real benefits and advantages that I like a lot. First one is a typical oxygen advantage practice. So we'll do it sitting. You can do it standing, but if you're sitting, we'll do it sitting. So it's very similar to what we did at the beginning, where you just find yourself sitting, feet connected to the ground, feeling very safe and secure on the chair you're sitting in. This is important because when we're looking at calming the body, calming the mind, using the breath to calm the body, ultimately what we're telling the mind is that you are safe. So if you don't feel safe, no matter what breath practice you're doing, then it's not going to have the optimal effect. So you want to feel safe and you want to feel comfortable when you're doing this practice. So feeling safe on the ground, feeling safe with the space around you, tall through the spine, so that nice strong spine, but soft front so that we're not rigid. Face relaxed, jaw relaxed. And the tongue just resting gently on the roof of the mouth if that feels comfortable for you. Eyes closed or open. And whichever way you're doing this, I would suggest you play around with both, because it's that the idea of just having the eyes open when you're coming into relaxation is quite nice as well. And as we started the session, just tuning in with the breath, noticing the breath. And again, that physical sensation, that clear physical sensation is really good to notice. That slightly cooler air coming in through the nose. Just noticing the nuances of the breath, that slightly warmer air as you breathe out. And as I said again, in the beginning, your mind will wander. It's natural. You can't switch off thoughts. That's just not possible. So when your mind wanders off, or when you've noticed your mind has wandered off, just gently guide your attention back to what you're focusing on at that particular moment. The air in and out through the nostrils, slightly cooler air coming in through the nose, and slightly warmer leaving. And then we'll switch our attention to the spaces again, to the space at the top of the breath. And then also the space at the bottom of the breath. And enjoy the stillness, enjoy the rest in both of those spaces. And now we'll just focus on the space at the bottom. So just tune into that space at the bottom, breath in. So it's just that natural, normal breath in, easy, normal breath out, and just notice the space at the bottom of the breath. And what I'd like you to do now is just extend that space at the bottom of the breath just for a few seconds longer. So this is where you can take a little bit of conscious control of the breath. Till now we've just been noticing. Now that's normal breath in, normal breath out. And just pause for a little bit longer at the bottom of that exhale and enjoy that additional rest, that additional space. And then also enjoy that next breath in. That next breath in might be slightly fuller. We've done all of that movement now, so you've really created the space just to allow that breath to flow into the body, to flow into the lungs, and then just breathe easy. And I want you to go at your own comfortable pace now, but what I'd like you to do is after a normal breath in, a normal breath out, just extend that pause at the bottom of that exhale for about 5 seconds. So again, you can just count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you will let the breath back in. And I want you to do 3 normal, natural breath cycles. A breath cycle is breath in and breath out, in between. And then after the third breath, do that 5-second pause again. So just in your own time. And I'm just going to give you about a minute just to do that in your own time. So normal breathing apart from that end of the third breath, that extended pause, and enjoy the pause, enjoy that extended pause, enjoy the next breath in. And we'll do one more of those just in your own time. So normal breath in when you're ready. Normal breath out. And enjoy that pause at the bottom of the breath. Rest, stillness, softness, relaxation. And enjoy that next breath in, knowing as you're breathing that next breath in, as that next breath flows in, you're bringing fresh energy, life into the body. And then when you're ready, just breathing easy. And if you had your eyes closed, you might want to take slightly a fuller breath in. It's always nice to expand the body a little bit, fuller breath in, open your eyes at the top of the breath. It's always nice to have a little stretch, or pandiculation is my preferred word to stretch. That's what animals do. They pandiculate rather than pull their joints out of their sockets like often we see people stretching. Nice. Any questions on that very simple practice, or any thoughts or any comments on what you experienced doing that? We did it for a short period of time. You can spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, however long you need to, where you feel comfortable doing that practice, because it should be calming, it should be relaxing, it shouldn't be stressful. Anybody got any questions or thoughts? So what is actually happening when we are doing that practice, and why you should be getting that sensation of calmness, is that when we're doing that little bit of a pause at the bottom of the breath out or the exhale, just a normal breath out, what is happening from a biochemical point of view within the body is there is a very, very subtle, a very gradual buildup of carbon dioxide. Because we're not breathing out, then there's a little bit of a buildup of carbon dioxide within the blood, within the muscles, and within the lungs. Now, that is beneficial because we need the right level of carbon dioxide within the body to actually help draw oxygen from the blood. So what we often think is, oh, if I need to oxygenate the body, I need to breathe more air in. And if we start getting out of breath, we think to get more oxygen into every single cell in the body, I need to start breathing big gasps of air into the body. But that's not necessarily right, because what will then happen is you start to overbreathe. And if we overbreathe, you just don't help to oxygenate the body. So the more you do those gentle pauses, it's almost like you are drawing that little bit more energy, that little bit more oxygen from the blood. So that's why it should feel nice and calming and relaxing. You're pausing the breath. We're not holding anything. You're not having to do anything. You're actually having a rest. If that doesn't feel calming and relaxing in that practice, then you may be doing it a little bit too much. You may be trying a little bit too hard. So give yourself time to recover with those normal breaths in between. And if 5 seconds is too long, maybe just count for 3 seconds. But the intention of that practice is to help calm and relax mind and body. Remembering, of course, you have to feel comfortable and you have to feel safe in the environment that you are practicing that exercise or that practice. If you don't feel safe, your body's going to go into fight or flight. So no matter how much breath work you do, you are going to be in a fight or flight state. There is another one that there's another practice that we have actually the Breathe Balance Move group haven't done yet. So this is something that I've just been playing around with myself, and I'm finding this really beneficial. So it's a little bit different, and it's a combination of box breathing and a Qigong Stance. And I'm finding this fascinating in terms of a relaxing, because on the face of it, it shouldn't be a relaxing practice. But the idea of box breathing is exactly that. You create a box. So if you breathe in for 4 counts, you will hold at the top of the box or the top of the breath for 4 counts. You will breathe out for 4 counts. And then you will, what I like to say is pause at the bottom of the breath, because that pause, you're not doing anything. So box means create a box. So you're doing equal amounts of breath in, hold, out, pause. Now this has been shown, it's been proved to help balance energies. So really balance the upregulating and downregulating. And I've practiced this just in a sitting posture, and it really helps to improve heart rate variability. That's pretty, you can see it pretty clearly when you're doing any of the heart rate variability tests. But what I've been exploring with this box breathing is a Qigong stance, and it's a really good practice. So I'd like you all to have a little play around with this. It's the first time I've taught this actually to a group, so it'll be a good one. It'll be interesting to get your feedback. So come up to a standing position. And the stance is called the horse stance. So we go to our shoulder width apart again. That's always a good stance because it creates that stable foundation. Little bit of bend in the knees and a very subtle relaxation of the tailbone. So we're not tucking the pelvis underneath, but we're just letting that back, lower back relax and almost like drop down. It's like you've got a little bit of a weight on your tailbone, but I'm not physically tensing any muscles to create any tucked tailbone or anything like that. So I'm showing you from the side, just keep watching from the front. So there's the lower body. Upper body, it's imagine you've got a fit ball in front of you. So you've got one of those soft fit balls in front of you. So you're relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the elbows, and you're just holding a fit ball in front of you. And then just tune into that stance. So there's some real benefits from practicing this stance. Firstly, it's creating strength and stability in the lower body. So in the legs, you're really creating strength in the legs and stability. That combination of strength and stability is obviously important, that we have strong legs or strong body, but we also are stable. And then oddly, it feels quite relaxing. So it might not feel relaxing at first because you might think I'm standing in this odd position and I'm shifting my center of gravity and I'm using my arms. But the more you hold a position and relax into it, the more you'll find places where you can soften. So you can maybe soften the shoulders a little bit. Soften the belly so we can still work through that strong back of the body, soft front of the body. And the more also you practice this stance, the more you can almost like get into a flow state. So you know if you're doing exercise, if you're running or walking and you get into that state where everything just flows, everything just works, there's nothing stuck, there's nothing blocked. The breath flows, the mind flows, the body flows. This stance can really, it might not seem like it at first, but the more you practice this stance, the more you can get into that flow state. So just have an intention by practicing this stance of, first of all, thinking of strength and stability. And then softness and relaxation. Where can we soften? Where can we relax? And then flow, so that flow state. And then we add on top of this, the box breathing. So I'll count you. So we'll breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, pause at the bottom of the breath for 4. So we'll do this together as a group. So just focus on the breath, bring the attention to the breath. This is all in and out through the nose. And we'll go in 3, 2, 1. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. In, hold, out, pause, in, hold, out, pause, in, hold, out, pause, in, hold, out, pause. Do one more round. In, hold, out, pause. Keep holding the stance, but just breathing normally now. Just let the breath be natural, in and out through the nose. Thinking of that strength and stability that you're creating. That softness and relaxation. Where can you be soft? Be soft in the belly. Let the breath be soft, be light. And then when you're ready, maybe have a little stretch again. Nice. And take a rest there. Come back. If anybody's got any questions or comments, how did you feel that? Because I know that's the Breathe, Balance, Move group. We've not practiced that one before. So that is something that we'll be playing around with a little bit more. Any thoughts or comments on that little practice? No, it's finished everybody off. That's good.
Great. It's easier when we're doing it with you.
Go on, Keith.
Sorry,
Okay.
I'm just saying it's easier when we're doing it with you.
Yeah.
What do you mean, Im?
I think the duration. I think it's a wonderful practice, but sometimes you just want to move it along and not do such a extended session.
That's a good one to practice, to build that resilience, to build a strength and stability. And the iron shirts in Qigong and in martial arts, they would practice those standing postures to create endurance and to create strength. And what we tend to do now when we're holding a posture in modern day fitness is we hold a posture, but we hold a breath as well. And that idea of holding a posture but softening and breathing into that posture is I find again is you can really bring that state of flow in that. And I've been practicing that quite a bit recently, and I just thought today would be a good time to introduce it to a group to see what the feedback was basically. But I would certainly play around with that because I think there's a lot of benefit from it, because it's a bit counterintuitive. Because we say we want that to be a relaxing breath work. It's like, whoa, how does that become relaxing? But if you can relax into that, you will find the benefits from that. I'm pretty sure about that. Somebody else was going to comment. Was it Emma? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm new to the group, but did probably in about 2016 actually came and did a workshop in real life with you and Patrick.
Oh, brilliant! Yes.
It's really, really good. But I've forgotten too much of it. So,
so we're introducing a few new bits here as well. Was that in Finsbury Park? Did you do it in Finsbury Park, or was it in Highgate?
Finsbury Park, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would have been one of the first ones, actually.
Ah, yeah. Well, it's so many tips from that I still use a lot.
Brilliant.
It was really good. And yeah, helped me manage my asthma hugely as well. That exercise, well, all the exercises have been interesting, and most of them are new to me. That last one was interesting, and I couldn't tell how long we were doing it for. So how long were we?
I don't know. I was just counting. I was watching the clock and counting seconds on the clock, but I didn't see how long we did it for.
Yeah, and just as Keith said it, I think it's Keith, you know, it's easier being guided doing that, so you're not sort of thinking about the time, and I'm sure that would mean you do it longer than if you're doing it just yourself when you're beginning. But yeah, it's good, thank you.
Yeah, what you can do is you can, I mean, you can, what I should do is create like I could create a recording of just the 4 count, or you can create a rhythm of the 4 count, and just do it for as long as you feel comfortable. It's one of those things, it's good to see how long it is, but sometimes if we see how long it is and say, oh, I'm going to do it for 5 minutes, you're almost restricting how long you're doing it for, because you get towards the end and it starts to become hard work. Whereas if you don't think, oh, I'm going to do it for 5 minutes, and then you just go, oh, I've just done that for 15 minutes. The time can, which is quite a nice thing for you to say there, is time can just like not be there, which I quite like, because again, it's going into that flow state. Anything else on?
Sorry, just building on what Emma was, or responding to Emma, and I appreciate your saying, Gray, that you don't need time maybe, but there's quite a few breathing gaps that you can get, and you can set your own time for them, and you could put them on, and they like bong at the end of your inhale and
Yes.
bong at the end of your exhale, and you can manipulate them as you wish, and you can set your time for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you want. That might be an answer.
Yeah, thanks for reminding us of that. Yeah, there's a lot, and they're free as well. There's Breathe Plus, and I definitely Breathe Plus is a good one, and Breathe. And as you say, you can set some of them. You can't set the time exactly, but most of them you can say, right, I want to be in for 4, out for 4, etc. So you can do box, or you can do in for 4, out for 6. One thing that I really want to stress when we start adding counting to the breath is that we make sure we don't miss the point of the biochemistry of the breath, that we make sure that we're still just breathing the right volume of air. So this is why it's important to really tune into that natural breathing, the breathe light, that 5-second pause, to make sure that we're not over breathing. Because if we just go into counting, you can end up breathing too much air. So even though we're doing the box breath and you're doing a pause and a pause, you could still over breathe in a way. It's unlikely, but you could still be taking big breaths in and pausing and taking big breaths out. That's fine when we're doing sort of like that releasing breath, and we just do a couple of those, but you wouldn't want to spend 5 minutes doing big hyperventilation breath unless that was the purpose of the exercise. So a lot of the Wim Hof practice, they deliberately hyperventilate. Other breath works as well, holotropic breathing, will hyperventilate for an intention, for a reason, for a purpose. When we're doing calming breath, relaxation breath, we want to make sure if we're using a count, whatever count that is, that we just breathe the right volume of air. So that's the point to really highlight there.
Ray, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
When you're doing that box breathing, are you balancing out the autonomic nervous system between parasympathetic and sympathetic?
It pretty much is with the box breathing, and the more the stuff you read on box breathing, that tends to say what it's doing is that exactly that it's balancing parasympathetic and sympathetic. So it's not relaxation as such,
Right.
but it's getting everything in balance. So you can upregulate. You're upregulating and downregulating at the same time. So balancing. Balance is a good word to use there.
Okay, thank you.
Brill. That's a nice point.
Yeah, I was going to ask Gray as well. What I found really interesting was how you developed those exercises. Like the first was about just noticing the pauses, noticing the pauses after the out and then holding after the out breath, and then holding at both. Because the first, when I was just noticing myself, I was thinking it's always, the pause is always longer, always seems to be longer after the out breath. So I was interested in that, and I was thinking, is that because, I don't know, I've been practicing that more, or is it natural to sort of maybe have a slightly longer pause after the out breath, or maybe not. But I just found that I was going to ask about that, because when I was just breathing naturally, I did notice maybe the pause. It's a bit like a valley, you're in the valley and you're sort of like after the out breath, whereas when you breathe after the in breath, it feels like you're a bit on the top and you're just waiting to go down. I don't know.
I think that's a lovely way of explaining it, actually. And I've never really thought of that before. But if you're thinking about how, in terms of like Rob said there about balancing regulating the nervous system, you've just really given us a really good visualization of how that's working as well, is that you're at the top and then you're at the bottom, and it's that rest bit at the bottom is a really good place to be in. And that's the idea of that calming and relaxing breath, is that enjoy the space at the bottom. So it's one of the reasons why, and I know the Breathe Balance movers will know this from me, is one of the reasons why I very rarely say hold at the bottom of a breath, because a hold is doing something. I am holding this cup, so it's an action. It's something that I am physically doing. Whereas if I'm just having a rest, I'm pausing, you can actually extend that pause because you're not doing anything. So I think that's a really nice way of describing it, Julian. And I'm thinking if you're sensing that, that's great, because if you were getting to the bottom of the breath and wanting to breathe in and wanting to breathe in and wanting to breathe in, then you're going into that almost like that fight or flight state, because that's what happens when you're getting everything, when you get intense and getting tight, or when you are going into fight or flight. That's what happens, is there's very little space between the breaths. That's a nice point. I like that. Anything else on that? Let's do, just for these sessions always go quickly, let's do a bit of energizing breath now. So energizing, one of the things I use from the Oxygen Advantage to help energize the body is the breath hold. So really pausing the breath long, so extending that pause. So if you like, holding at the bottom of the breath. So there's a difference between that pause where we're relaxing at the bottom of the breath to holding and pausing longer at the bottom of the breath, because we're deliberately then creating a buildup of carbon dioxide for a training effect. So it's a deliberate stress on the body, on the cardiovascular system. So again, with any strong breath holds, or anywhere where we hold the breath or pause the breath for a long period of time, if you have high blood pressure, if you've got any cardiovascular issues, if you're pregnant, then you want to avoid anything that is too stressful. But bearing in mind the idea of pausing the breath and building up carbon dioxide, when carbon dioxide starts to build up in the body, it will create fear. It's designed to create fear. It's designed to say to you, breathe or you'll die. So it should be stressful. So if this isn't stressful, then we're not doing this exercise right. And if the relaxing exercise that we did was stressful, we're not doing that exercise right. Does that make sense? There are very deliberate differences in these two exercises. And I like to add a bit of a movement into the stronger breath holds as well, because it just takes the attention away from holding the breath. So if you want to come up to a standing position again, and I'll just jump on the other camera. So can you see okay there? Yeah. So we'll start the movement first. Go for your shoulder width apart with the feet, a little bit of bend in the knees. So again, that nice stable base. Palms together. So just squeeze the palms together there. So if you yoga practice, you're at the heart center there. It's really nice because that creates a little bit of good tension between the shoulders and the back of the body. And then you just open up, let's just do normal breathing at the minute. So just breathing in. What you're doing is lifting the sternum up, extending the spine, looking up, breathing in, and then you're breathing out. And just pressing the hands together there. So it's a bit like the first movement we did when we're cleansing and clearing, that spinal cord breathing, or a bit like the cat-cow, but we're just doing that with the upper body. So I'll show you from the sides, keep facing front. I'm just extending the spine, looking up, and then softening, coming down. So we're getting movement through that upper back. And then just find your own, I'm just going to put you on mute because just some of the speakers are just coming through. So you can still see me there. Yeah. So breath in now and breath out. Just go with the breath to start off with. Squeeze, breath in. And breath out. Breath in. Breath out. And now what we're going to do is when we get to the end of the exhale here, I want you just to squeeze, push the hands together, and then just pause a little bit longer. Squeeze, 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 pause the breath, hold, hold, hold. And then when you're ready, breathe in. And breathe out. And breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. We'll go for that extended pause again at the end of this exhale. Exhale, now press. So use the tension through the arms. Pause, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Pausing the breath. And then when you're ready, breathe in. So this should feel challenging. Do another pause, and this time go a little bit longer, so challenge yourself. So really squeeze, squeeze, go for as long as you can comfortably, but you can still take a breath in through the nose the next time you take a breath in. So keep squeezing, keep pressing. And then when you're ready, really enjoy that next breath in. Filling the air, filling the lungs with air. Breathe easy. Breathe in. And when you're ready, we'll do one more. Go to a really strong air hunger. Really push yourself, really challenge yourself, but please be careful because you're all in your own space there and I can't come and find anybody if you've fallen over. So please really be careful. Only do this if you're comfortable with it. Press, really press, 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 press. Pause, squeeze. Now imagine you're squeezing all of that energy from the blood into the cells, into every single tissue. So the more CO2 you're building up, the more energy you're pushing into every single cell in the body. And then when you are ready, breath in and breath out. Some of you might be going a little bit longer. Again, you're going at your own comfortable pace. And then just letting the breath settle. And then just to finish off, just to balance all of that out, breath in, bringing the arms up to the side, pulling down the sky, pulling down the universe, pulling down the heavens, bringing the hands to rest on the lower abdomen, bringing your feet together now. And if it feels comfortable for you, just closing your eyes. And just letting the body find its natural balance. It's always one of my favorite movements, practices. A lot of people comment on this. It's called bamboo in the wind. So if you visualize that strong strength of the bamboo, but the flexibility that it has as it blows gently in the wind. So you may find that you're rocking and swaying side to side, forwards and backwards. Maybe get a spiral sensation. Body is finding its natural balance. And then just bringing your attention to the breath. And again, that clear physical sensation, easy sensation of the breath in and out through the nostrils. And letting the breath find its natural rhythm, its natural balance. And then when you are ready, taking a slightly fuller breath in through the nose, always a nice fuller breath in as you open your eyes, as you step out, as you maybe have a little stretch again. And then just come back to sitting. We've gone over by about a minute there, but if anybody does have any questions before we finish, just shout up, give me a shout. So when we're doing that stronger breath hold or longer pause, rather than thinking I'm running out of oxygen, just visualize that you're you're creating more energy, you're squeezing more energy, you're drawing oxygen from the blood into the cells, because that buildup of carbon dioxide is going to help to draw the oxygen from the blood into the cells. It's a nice mindset to have. It's not thinking, oh my God, I'm going to run out of oxygen, because it'll be a long time before you run out of oxygen, and your body will not allow you. Well, hopefully, if you're fit and healthy, your body will not allow you to run out of oxygen. That's why CO2 buildup creates that fear. But rather than think, oh, this is horrible, I'm going to run out of oxygen, think of you're oxygenating the body more. Because what will happen is, although the oxygen saturation in the blood will drop, so OA instructors know we use like a pulse oximeter to measure the oxygen saturation in the blood, the first thing that's happening is hypoxemia in the blood, but you're still getting oxygen in the tissues. In fact, you're getting lots of oxygen in the tissues. It's only when you extend that breath hold for a longer period of time when you actually start to create hypoxia in the tissues. So remember, just have that idea that I'm squeezing energy, I'm concentrating energy. And that's why I like to use that very simple movement with that as well. Brilliant. Any questions before I let you go and all have a wonderful weekend? No? Great. So Breathe Balance Movers, I'll see you on Tuesday for the practice. Anybody else who wants to join that, let me know, and you're very welcome to join into that. It's free on Facebook and YouTube. We'll do a little bit more Qigong practice. And on Tuesday, we'll do a little bit more of this box breathing as well. So we'll play around with that as well. Thank you very much for joining. I really appreciate you spending your time on this Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, wherever you are. And I will hopefully see you all, see you very soon. Take care. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Take care.
Thanks, Gray.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Cheers.